Okay, we proceed with activity 6.1. Keep an eye on the local newspapers and identify reports of incidents involved or involving cable theft. Make a note of the thieves' modus operandi, prevention strategies, if any, employed by responsible agencies, and the criminal justice reaction to the offenders. What prevention mechanism would you recommend to reduce the risk of this crime occurring at perpetuity? Feedback on activity 6.1. No specific feedback provided as students' responses will differ. It will be interesting to compare your findings and views with that of students in order to, in other areas or location, initiate a Mayonisa conversation to engage with this issue. Vehicle theft, general characteristics. At one time, most vehicle theft was the work of amateurs. There appears to be a change in this pattern. Few cars or motorcycles are being stolen today, and fewer vehicles are being recovered. Part of the reason is that there has been an increase in highly organized professionals who resell expensive cars after altering their vehicle identification numbers and falsify their registration papers. Exporting vehicles has been a global problem, and the emergence of capitalism in Eastern Europe has increased the demand for certain makes of vehicles. Vehicle theft in South Africa. Vehicle theft in South Africa, the most frequent stolen cars are respectively Toyota Hilux, Toyota Fortuner, VW Polo. According to Business Tech 2016 NP, the Hilux was the best-selling vehicle in South Africa in 2015-2016, selling just shy of 37,000 units, while the VW Polo Vivo H at the end, VWH were third and fourth on the list behind the Ford Ranger, with a combined total of more than 47,000 sales. The Fortuner is also among the more popular cars in South Africa and is believed to be prevalent as a feeder for parts for the minibus taxi industry. According to the Automobile Association of South Africa AA, stolen vehicles are mostly commonly disposed of through exportation to other countries with much of balance, more often than not ending up in the second-hand parts market. Business Tech 2016 NP. older vehicles between 7 and 25 years are at high risk of theft, while vehicles between 1 and 4 years are at high risk of robbery, carjacking. Minibuses, not taxi minibuses per se, top the ratings for cars that are targeted for theft and robbery, with sedans a close second. Entry-level and cheaper vehicles were also found to be high risk, as well as vehicles with high market volume, Business Check 2016 NP. Theft of motor vehicles and motorcycles has steadily decreased from 83,857 units in 1995 to 53,809 units in 2016. The total number of vehicles stolen during the period 1995 to 2016 was 83,100, 1,540. Car Stats SA 2007. In 2016, on average, 147.4 motorcycles were stolen each day. Motives for vehicle theft. According to Siegel 2013, page 427, the following 5 reasons are usually advanced for vehicle theft. Joyriding. Many vehicle thefts are motivated by teens 15 to 19 years of age desire to acquire the power, the prestige, sexual potency, and recognition association with vehicle ownership. They also steal vehicles as a dare or as an initiation into a gang. Short-term transport. This is similar to joyriding and involves the theft of vehicles simple to go from one place to another. Once the offenders have reached their destination or run out of fuel, stolen vehicle is abandoned. Long-term transportation. Thieves who steal vehicles for a long-term transportation intend to keep the vehicle for their personal use. They are usually older than joyriders and from a disadvantaged background. These vehicle thieves may repaint or otherwise disguise vehicle to avoid detection. Profit. Vehicle theft for profit is motivated by the hope of monetary gain. Some amateurs hope to sell the entire vehicle, but most are vehicle strippers who steal batteries, tires, rims, wheel covers, hubcaps, and so forth to sell and re-equip their own vehicles. Vehicle theft syndicates often specialize in a specific type of vehicle. Commission of another crime. Vehicles are sometimes stolen to be used as a transport to and or from a crime scene or scenes. In this regard, think about the cash in transit heists. Cars are commonly stolen so that they can be used in a cash transit heist, often as a ramming and getaway cars. Such offenders who are planning a second type of crime often steal a getaway vehicle and then abandon it shortly afterwards to avoid being traced. The car is usually stolen as close to committing a second crime as possible. So the crime is committed before the vehicle can be reported stolen. This type of vehicle theft desire both mobility and anonymity. Car cloning. One relative new form of usually professional vehicle theft is called cloning. After stealing a luxury car from a mall or parking lot, car thieves later visit a large car dealership in another province and look for a car that is exactly make, model, and even color of the stolen vehicle. The thieves note the VIN number, which is displayed on the license disc of the car, and drive off. The manufacturer installed VIN plate on the stolen vehicle is removed and replaced with a counterfeit on bearing the VIN number of the legitimate vehicle. Fake ownership and registration documents complete the cloning. At this point, the stolen vehicle can easily be sold to an unsuspected buyer. Carjacking. Although involving the theft of a car is legally considered the type of robbery because it involves the use of force to steal. Both victims and offenders in the carjacking tend to be young men. Ur- Urban residents are more likely to experience carjacking than suburban or rural residents. About half of all hijackings, also known as hijackings, are typically committed by gangs or groups. These crimes are most likely to occur in the evening in or near the central city in an open area in a parking lot or where vehicles need to stop near the places for easy concealment of the thieves and the escape routes, egress routes. Such areas are often well posted by the authorities to warn the South African motoring public of high-risk areas and can deter potential carjackers from frequenting such areas. A situational crime prevention technique. Weapons, usually guns, are used in most hijacking, with many victims who resist sustaining serious injuries or dying. According to the 2016 Victim of Crime Survey, car hijacking are mostly reported crime in South Africa, with more than 80% of all incidents being reported to the SAPS Statistics South Africa 2017 NP. Combating vehicle theft. Vehicle theft is significant target of situational crime prevention efforts, albeit a notorious difficult crime to prevent. Prevent efforts in this regard include equipping parking lots with CCTV cameras, furnishing cars with sophisticated steering and gear lock mechanism, as well as electrically activated alarms connected to the vehicle door locking mechanism, fitting hidden electronic tracking devices, and so forth. Studies have, however, shown that theft prevention methods, especially alarms, have a little effect on theft rates. The most effective methods appear to be devices that immobilize a vehicle by cutting off the electrical power needed to start the engine when a theft is detected. However, car thieves with modest resources, just a few hundred in of the shelf equipment, and some computer knowledge can crack the codes of millions of car keys and upon these security systems. Blockers are also used by thieves observing motorists exiting their cars at the malls and parking lots. The motorists believe that the locking system in his or her car has been activated while it has in fact been jammed, allowing the thief unhindering access to the vehicle and its contents once the motorist has left the scene. Cyber computer crime. Peter Grabowski, an Australian academic and one of the early pioneers of research on all aspects of cybercrime, succinctly outlined the problems and issues regarding cybercrime. The connectivity of computing and communication has provided new opportunities for crime, including theft of services, information piracy, counterfeiting, and forgery. The dissemination of offensive material, electronic money laundering, electronic vandalism and terrorism, telemarketing fraud, illegal interception, and electronic transfer fraud. Grabowski, 1998, from page 1 to 2. This quote of Grabowski highlights all the different forms of crime associated with computer-driven electronic digital information age we now live in. From the list of crimes mentioned by Grabowski, one can see exactly how diverse and wide these electronic crimes can be. Since the time 1998 when Grabowski first formulated these, there have in fact been additional definitions and terms used to describe and label the new and innovative ways of committing crime online on the electronic information highways of the world. One other aspect that needs to be highlighted in Grabowski's definition is that of the provision of new opportunities for the commission of so-called cyber online or e-crime. One of the major facilities for this growth of cybercrime has been the technological development in terms of equipment with reference to size, cost, and portability. In terms of equipment, it should be noted that smartphones and tablets are now virtually handheld computers and as such are labeled as mobile devices Both enable users to undertake all kinds of electronic transactions from banking to connecting to internet. In addition, facilitating factor for the exponential growth of cybercrime over the past 2 decades has been the innovation of wireless connectivity, Wi-Fi, and satellite transmission, which is in turn have led to the global dissemination and easy access to information. In other words, what has driven his electronic revolution has been the convergence of computing and communication. Cybercrime affects all walks of life. Cybercrime affects all walks of life, and it is not confined mere, merely to the internet, high-tech industries, and businesses, but the impact is felt right down to the ordinary members of the public in all walks of life. Cybercrime has become a global crime phenomenon of staggering proportion, containing as it does the element of many different crime types and categories, with the central linking thread being their perpetration in cyberspace, with the foundational action largely being e-fraud. Global estimation. According to Minaj 2014-117, in 2012 it was estimated that annual customer cybercrime globally cost USD 113 billion. 2011 cost estimate. Okay, all these figures as per given, all these billions. I'll just go to the South African one. South Africa USD 0.3 billion, and 2013 exchange rate, this represents a loss of South African economy in the excess of 3 billion. New Zealand, they give the figures of the billions in New Zealand as advanced from the above list, considering must sums are being lost every year to consumer cybercrime. Comparative in terms of size of the economy, the annual loss of USD 3 billion for South Africa would have a greater economical impact than some of the other countries' losses. For example, the USD 1 billion Russian loss in 2012 for an economy 5 times larger than South Africa. Overview of cybercomputer crime in South Africa. All three of the Symantec Notion cybercrime reports for the years 2011, 2012, and 2013 have highlighted specific trends for South Africa in the perpetration of cybercrime. Firstly, South Africa, like Brazil, where physical crimes are among the highest in the world, are both clearly emerging as countries with high level of cybercrime. Secondly, South Africa and China and Singapore are also countries with high level of free antivirus software users, with the associated risk of large numbers of people accessing the internet and becoming cybercrime victims via mobile devices. Free antivirus software is not necessarily safe and secure, since these software programs are often targeted by cyber criminals to hide malware inside the free software that often pops up unsolicited on mobile devices. In October 2013, the FBI has listed South Africa as a global sixth most active country in terms of the occurrence of cybercrime, SAPA 2013. By the end of 2013, according to PricewaterhouseCoopers, South African edition of the Global Economic Crime Survey, South Africa had become, in terms of the extent and relative the size of population, the world leader in money laundering, bribery and corruption, procurement fraud, asset misappropriate, and notable cybercrime. In this PwC survey, the South African respondents reported that cybercrime made up 24% of all economic crime being perpetrated in South Africa. Many local observers claim that cybercrime is a national crisis, costing the country at the very least R1 billion a year. Oscar cited in Minnar 2014 page 118 to 125. Note, in the above section, the term cybercrime has been used, but it must be noted that it is a generic term covering a wide range of different forms of crime categories. Okay. Okay, types of cyber computer crime and technology. Okay, I will stop there for now because this is a long learning unit, and I will proceed with this some other time. All right. The date today is the 4th of February 2023, and the time is 6 minutes to 4 in the afternoon. We're doing CMY 2602, Principles of Crime Prevention, Reduction and Control. Principles of Crime Prevention, Reduction and Control. We're starting at 6.6.3. Types of cyber computer crime and technology. Essential cybercrime is an extension or offshoot of so-called white-collar crime. With criminology, white-collar crime was first defined by the sociologist Edwin Sutherland in 1939. Sutherland, 1949, as a financial motivated non-violent crime committed for legal monetary gain. Initially, the term became synonymous with so-called white shirt, tie, and suit wearing perpetrators in the business or corporate world and government sphere, that is white collar, professional as opposed to blue collar, overalls wearing. Factory workers or even typecast, often violent, common or street criminals as found within syndicates and gangs. operating in the world of organized crime. Unfortunately, many conceptual ambiguities have risen in defining white collar crime within the strict category boundaries, since it is made up of a number of different criminal behaviors and activities. Furthermore, in terms of cybercrime, it must be reminded that these days it has elements of the latter crime typologies as well. Cybercrime itself can be categorized into three basic categories, namely white collar crimes as a fraud, theft via online phishing scams, social fabric, e.g., sexual offenses or pornographic exploitation, likely using social media platforms, and lastly, the broad category of security state, cyber warfare, cyber espionage, hacker activist, etc., whose main trust is via cyber attacks. Over the past few years, a number of new terms have been formulated to describe some of the more common forms of e-cyber, particularly ID theft and credit card bank account fraud. Below is an attempt to define and describe two common activities associated with e-crime, which ordinarily involves the physical obtaining of credit card details, which is often the first step in the perpetration of an e-crime. Minor 2014, page 129 to 131. Skimming. This is where the details of a credit card encrypted on its magnetic strip are skimmed in a shop restaurant using a small electronic device. This information is sold to the criminal syndicates and then bent into the blank counterfeit credit card using a computer. Whereupon they embark on spending spree. In a twist, skimming devices can be attached to ATM with clandestine video recorders recording the input of the victim's PIN number. But increasingly, though, a criminal does not need to make a fake card. Thanks to the growth of telephone and internet shopping, they only need to know the credit card details. Here, a common con is a telephone call where you are told the caller is from your bank or credit card company, and the call usually goes about a transaction that triggered a security flag on their system. In broad detail, the telephone call relates to the following. Your bank credit card company need to confirm whether a certain transaction occurred. If not, you will be issued with a credit on your account and fraud investigation will be launched. If you have any questions, please phone their security department at 0800. If you check at this number, you will be asked to provide them with a control number, a 6-digit code, which is provided by the caller. Then you will need to verify if you are still in possession of the credit card. You are asked to please turn your card over. you will see a string of numbers. Please read the last three. They are security numbers. These last three numbers only appear at the back of the credit card and not in front, and are therefore not recorded when swiped through the machine in a shop. They were introduced by banks as a security measure in most online retailers when you are at the shopping online. Now, require you to vanish these numbers to prove that you are actually in possession of the card. So by giving all the information to either the caller or when you phoned the security department, telephone numbers provided, these fraudsters have all the information they need to go on an online spending spree. A further innovation has been used on cell phone cameras to photograph the details or information on both sides of the credit card, which details are sufficient for spending on buying or paying for anything on the internet by cyber shopping. That is credit card cyber fraud. To counter this form of cybercrime, banks introduced the smart credit card, that is, with a chip embedded in the card so that the credit card transaction is done by machine. The transaction requires the credit card owner to insert the secret PIN number. The next step in obtaining information is the electronic approach to a potential victim. In particular, those aspects of email spam scams that use the so-called phishing approach. So, what is this phishing and how is the crime perpetrated by means of cybercrime? And what is the foundational crime underlying phishing and its various forms? Fisher's fishing, fishing farm. The term fishing is derived from fishing, that is baiting the hook, the temptation and the belief convincing solicitation approach and throwing of your fishing line, email the tempting offer, and go fishing and see what you can catch. Google victim identity details. The technical definition of phishing is a type of computer or identity theft that employs an approach a potential victim via an email in order to steal both the recipient's personal identity data and bank account and credentials. In effect, these emails are false, spoofed, and designed to lead a recipient to a counterfeit website that aim to trick them into divulging financial data such as account, username, and passwords. In other words, phishing is a method of deceitfully obtaining personal information such as password, identity numbers, and credit card details by sending emails that look as if they come from trusted sources such as banks, legitimate companies. In some phishing attacks, the phishers, i.e., con artists and cyber fraudsters, the phishing email typically requests the users click on the link in the email, which will direct users to spoofed websites. They will then try and convince recipients that the website to which they're being directed is genuine, therefore they should feel safe to respond and provide requested information, e.g., approaches hijacking. Okay, let's just check if we are still on par. Approaches hijacking brand names of banks, e-retailers, and even credit card companies to make the request to appear original from well-known business. They are therefore genuine. This spoofed website designed to fool users into thinking that it is legitimate. They look almost exactly like a legitimate and well-known financial institution, in the hope that the recipient will be tricked into disclosing their personal information in bogus online forms on the phony website. It only takes a few dabbed individuals to make phishing a profitable business for cyber criminals. Phishing attacks also make use of a number of different techniques and changing forms of approaches to a victim, namely the so-called fish farming and spear phishing. Fish farming is where you go mass fishing, throw a net as wide as possible on the internet with a with group email across the globe, random shots in the tag to say, while the term spear phishing describes a more direct online variation of a phishing attack where online criminals try and pry password and other sensitive information out of companies. This form of fish attack may use a phony email posing a powerful executive of the targeted organization or company rather than pose as a bank or other online business. Spearfishers send an email to an employee to employees at the company or government agency, making it appear that the email comes from a powerful person within the organization. Unlike basic phishing attacks, which are sent out indiscriminately, spearfishers target only one organization at a time. Once they trick employees into giving passwords, they install Trojan horses or other malicious software programs that ferret out corporate or government secrets. Example of email scam. Okay, below it's a recent phishing scam email where South African bank logo and extract replica as on their website was inserted in the email logo. Bank name have been removed. Okay, this is an email removed now. It's a scam email. As you can see, due to the grown reports, swim swap scams, and then on the next page, the instructions as indicated. This is an example of phishing email scam. Then we move here. It looks officially total professional and formal, especially with the bank's logo inserted the message. But South African banks routinely warn on their internet banking website that they will never send such an email soliciting such security steps to be done online via such email. They also warn that any such information should only be input via their official website. Once you have logged in with your account, PIN number, and password, when an attempt was made to block email in contact SA Bank account name.co.za SA Bank by sending it to junk mail option, the email programmer returned the message. Outlook Web Access was unable to add this email address to the block senders. This because it is not properly formulated. Among the rather innovation subject titles that phishing attacks among the rather innovative subject titles that similar phishing attacks come through on the emails, for example, advance fee 417 scam, assistance with releasing blocked inheritance. You have won. Verify bank account details. We try to reimburse you. Deposit refund scam. Deposit slip scam. Your wife, schoolmate, daughter, neighbor has sent you a birthday greeting e-card. Check out the pics photos I have sent you. Consult www for further anti-phishing advice. Activity 6.2 from the above can be descended some of the ways cyber animals try to scam individuals and get access to personal information or use insider information to hack into the databases and use the information to access bank accounts or steal money by fraudulent online means. What advice would you give individuals, companies, and organizations to prevent them from becoming victims of cyber approaches? Feedback. There is no specific feedback as indicated below. So we're moving now. We're moving now to 6.6.4, which is as follows. There is broad consensus of what constitutes a crime in the traditional sense. It occurs in real time, determined by physical circumstances which give rise to them, usually within the distinct social and geographic boundaries, and crucially with an observable place, that is, the place where the criminal behavior takes place is the same place where the impact of crime is felt. Furthermore, they are subject to a body of substantive law created by a legitimate legislature or by common law. In contrast, cyberspace is virtual environment in which values are largely attached to idea rather than to the traditional physical property. These values are constantly under threat and have to be protected in order to prevent them from being appropriated, damaged, and distorted. The idea of intellectual property is central here. It is changing nature of property that complicates the issue. For instance, the concept of electronic cash, cyber cash, and cyber shopping through cyber consumption network will supersede conventional money in a future cyber world. Moreover, as has been shown such networks have provided new opportunities for theft and fraud. Furthermore, money's transformation into cyber cash has been rise to evidential problems in the investigation of theft and fraud. There has been debate over the terms computer related crime, computer crime, and cyber crime. And more recent, the term online or e-crime. For the past 35 years, it would appear that the first attempt at formulating some sort of definition of this term was done in a report of the Stanford Research Institute as early as 1973. Park and Nickham and Ora 1979. The debate was taken up in two subsequent U.S. Department of Justice reports in 1979 and in 1989. C. Parker 1997 and 1989. Through this debate, generic definition and typologies for these forms of crime were developed earlier. The following: computer-related crimes, where the computer is regarded as both the subject and object of the crime as well as the instrument, a piece of equipment. This is United Nations UN 2005. In the late 1980s, a useful reformulation of this conceptual model occurred, namely where the computer-related crime is regarded as conduct proscribed by legislation and or jurisprudence that is directed at computing and communication technologies themselves, involves the use of digital technologies in the commission of the offense, or involves the incidental use of computers with respect to the commission of other crimes, and hence the computer as a source of digital evidence. UN 2005, page 3 to 4. Discernible from the above is that the computer or a computer-like device is central to the commission of cybercrime. Since the early 1980s, in recognition of the threat posed by e-crime, a number of countries have passed laws to deal with it internally, but also subscribes to international treaties in order to sustain and encourage the international cooperation approach to combating it, such as Council of European Convention on Cybercrime, have defined various types of computer-related crime, such as crime against the confidentiality, integrity, or availability of computer system, content-related offences, and offences related to intellectual property. Council of Europe, 2001. Since the early days of computers and the development of internet, there have been growing opportunities for the exploitation of this form of electronic communication for illegal, fraud, and criminal gain. In essence, what we are talking about is computer related based on electronic digital medium. In other words, the use of computers, the internet, online, and cyberspace for the perpetration of specific form of crime. Elements of e-crime are then the computer as physical instrument, the software program as the means, the internet coming together of a computer and communication technologies as a adjuvant, conduit, or communication channel, while the internet is the fraud perpetrated on a victim, owner of the link to the internet, and the eventual crime, e.g., theft of identity leading to the theft of money or good by means of fraud in the criminal act. All this occurs in the context cyberspace, which encompasses both the real and the virtual worlds. Essentially, new rules defining the perpetration of the variety of cybercrime have become necessary. Rules concerning evidence, proof of the commission of the crime, the collection of the virtual, that is, digital evidence of the crime activities on computer, hard drive, servers, and network, all of which complicates the prosecution of cyber criminals. 6.6.5 Prevention of cyber computer crimes. A key aspect of computer-related crime is a malicious tampering with computer data by disgruntled and dishonest employees. A virus can be entered manually into a company's system and, for instance, spread through a retail chain group of stores across the country, thereby damaging the company's computer network. In one such case, in 1999, an employee at a large retail chain in South Africa entered a virus which caused a massive computer crash and sales had to be entered manually. Workplace Staff 2006 NP. Other attacks on a company's information system could include deleting company's address books and client list, the deliberate deletion or destruction of information, which can all have far-reaching economical consequences for any company. Whole databases containing sensitive company information are also stolen, sometimes offered for sale to a competitor, or the thief sets up business for him or herself using information to get his or her business off the ground. But because there is virtually no foolproof way of stopping a determined employee who wants to do harm to his or her employee, it is essential that the range of information technology system be put in place to track the electronic movement of each and every employee. This includes having access to their email and keeping watchful eye on their activities on the internet. How are these cybercrime practices combated? Firstly, the company can install their own spyware on all computers on the company network. That is, they can track the keystrokes of all employees or any activity via company networks. For example, sources of viruses generated via company email. Secondly, employing so-called cyber sleuths who undertake periodical forensic investigation in the company for which they work. Once the cyber sleuths have detected some cyber fraud or other cybercrime, a company should then immediately get the experts who know exactly how to download from a computer, laptop, or server digital evidence correctly, technically, as well as within the parameters of the law requirement. legally so that such digital evidence can be used in court to prosecute cyber criminals. That is, use cyber forensics investigative methods to build a cyber case against the cyber criminal. In addition, security measure is the hardening of network and information security system with the securing of network and individual computers by means of sophisticated firewalls and antivirus software. Furthermore, security can be increased by a frequent compulsory changing of password by employers and IT administrators to allow access to sensitive information only to selected individuals whose background and integrity has been checked. A further security measure is the formulation of an effective company whistleblowing policy which needs to be in place, implemented instead of mere being policy in a manual, so that honest employees can blow the whistle on their crooked colleagues. However, the biggest weapon against cyber criminals who try to fraudulently obtain your banking details, other financial or ID details by email, or more recently via cell phone is your awareness. You would not give anyone ATM PIN number to a stranger. So why would you share your private details with an unknown source on the internet or cell phone? The same principle applies to all emails. Deal only with credible and known sources. If you receive an email from a retailer you have never heard of or agreed to receive email from from delete delete it immediately. Whatever you do not click on any links in the email message. Always be suspicious of emails with bewildering origins. Activity 6.3. Keep an eye on the local newspaper and identify cybercomputer related articles that appear. Note the type of cybercomputer crime committed and determine if any prevention techniques were applicable at the time or envisaged since the crime occurred. Feedback, no specific feedback as the summary in the study unit. We discussed general characteristics of theft, the selection of targets and motives for stealing. Vehicle theft was described as the same fashion. We looked at the four main reasons for theft. For vehicle theft, namely joyriding, for transportation, for profit, and for use of other crimes. We also interrogated cybercomputer crimes as an area of growing criminological concern and its fundamental dynamics and prevention. Assessment. Okay, let me answer these questions and check if I can get the answers. Regarding the car cloning, identify the correct statement. A manufacturer installed VIN number plate on a legitimate car. A manufacturer installed in a legitimate car is removed and replaced with the counterfeit bearing VIN number of the stolen vehicle. A manufacturer install license plate. A manufacturer install a license plate. A manufacturer install a VIN number. A manufacturer installed a VIN number on a stolen and removed and replaced with a counterfeit bearing illegitimate. A manufacturer install VIN number. Here's a car. Here's another car. A manufacturer installed VIN plate on the legitimate car is removed and replaced with a counterfeit on the one bearing the VIN number of the stolen vehicle. Okay, a manufactured VIN plate on a stolen vehicle is removed and replaced with a counterfeit bearing the VIN number of the illegitimate car is D. 6.8. Number 1 is D. Person's awareness is the best way to prevent which of the following? Awareness: cable theft, vehicle theft, cyber theft. You see, this form of fish attack makes use of phony emails posing as powerful executives of the target organization company. Fish farming, spear fishing, mess farming. I think Upila. Number 4. With regards to the motives of stealing, identify the correct statement. With regards to the motives of stealing, identify the correct statement. The motive of stealing. The greater the abundance of material goods members of society have, the more they is to steal, and thus higher rate of property crime. The lesser the amount of goods, good members of the society have more to steal than store. Greater the amount of material goods, members of society have more to steal. High rate of poverty, I think it's D. 5. With regards to cybercrime, computer crime, identify the correct statement. In contrast with cyberspace, the visual environment in which values are largely attached to ideas rather than traditional. In contrast to the visual environment in which the ideas are largely attached. Largely ideas. Angiyazi answer la. Okay, let's check my answers on Mishilelo, Mcholilelo, 60%, not too bad, brother. Not too bad. Okay, we're stopping now. The next one will be Unit 7. Danko.